The Zigzag Multi Indicator is available for various platforms on the TradingFinder website. From this section, you can access this indicator on the TradingView website. Traders can also refer to this page to understand how the indicator works and operates. To access this indicator on the TradingView website, we search for the name of the indicator in the Indicators section and select it to apply it to the chart. To access this indicator, search and select the indicator to apply it to the chart. To access it quickly, add it to favorites using the Add to Favorites option. Select the indicator. It draws short-term black dashed zigzag lines and long-term green zigzag lines. To access this indicator, add it to your favorites. Applying it draws short-term black zigzag lines and long-term green ones, helping identify trends. By applying the indicator to the chart, it starts drawing short-term zigzag lines in black as dashed lines and long-term zigzag lines in green on the price chart. Traders using a classic style can easily identify short-term trends along with long-term trends in the market using this indicator. Additionally, they can recognize classic patterns with this indicator and base their trades on that. Traders spot short-term trends with this indicator and also recognize long-term trends. They can spot classic patterns and trade on them. Gold traders use this indicator to detect price waves and count waves. Gold traders can also use this indicator to identify price waves and perform their wave counting based on it. In the settings section, in the input section, there are options for us. In the first section, you can enable or disable the display of the short-term zigzag. You can change the pivot period of the short-term zigzag, which is set to 3 by default. The higher this value, the longer-term trends it will draw, and the lower this value, the shorter-term trends it will depict. In the next section, you can choose the type of drawing for the short-term zigzag lines, which can be in 3 styles: solid, dot, and dashed, with the default setting being dashed. It draws shorter-term trends. In the next section, you can choose the type of drawing for the short-term zigzag lines, which can be in 3 styles: solid, dot, and dashed, with the default setting being dashed. In the next section, you can change the color of the zigzag lines to your preferred color. In the next section, you can change the size of the short-term zigzag lines. In the next section, you can enable or disable the display of labels on the short-term zigzag lines. You can change the color of the labels as you like, and you can also adjust the size of the labels. In the next section, you can toggle the long-term zigzag lines. Change the pivot period for long-term zigzag lines. In the next section, just like with the short-term zigzag lines, you can enable or disable the display of the long-term zigzag lines. You can change the pivot period of the long-term zigzag lines. You can choose the type of drawing for the long-term zigzag lines, which is set to solid by default. You can change the color of the long-term zigzag lines to your preferred color. You can change the size of these lines. In the next section, you can enable or disable the display of labels on the long-term zigzag lines. You can change the color of this label. Choose the label size, then enable or disable the display of the last major support and resistance. Click Confirm to draw these levels. Here, minor and major support levels overlap. We've reached the end of this tutorial. Share your comments. You can enable or disable the display of the last major resistance. You can also enable or disable the display of the last minor support. And in the last section, you can enable or disable the display of the last minor resistance. After that, click the Confirm option, which will draw the major and minor support and resistance levels for us. In this section, the minor and major support levels overlap. Well friends, we've reached the end of this indicator tutorial. We would love to hear your comments and suggestions in the comments section. The major and minor support and resistance levels have been drawn, and in this section, the minor and major support levels overlap. Well friends, we've reached the end of this indicator tutorial. We would be happy to hear your comments and suggestions in the comments section.